starting out today's video by looking at the current price of Bitcoin. We've had some nice upwards momentum since we had that almighty crash the other day. Now, a lot of people I've seen have been looking at this at the moment and saying, well, this is a clear bear flag that we're having, and we're starting to break to the downside of it. And to that, I would say, I completely disagree. Just watch till the end of today's video where I analyze this price in detail and explain exactly why I've started to open up a long position on the price of Bitcoin. As you can see right here, it's a $40,000 long position from $32,180. Well, we're going to get into more detail on that later on in today's video. We're going to start off today's video with this. It's a tweet from Willy Woo. Now, I bring up Willy Woo's tweets fairly often in my videos because he publishes some really interesting analysis on the price of Bitcoin. And in this tweet particularly here, he says, and we have touched down a full on-chain SOPR reset. Coins moving between investors per hour, the 24-hour moving average, no longer carry profit on average. To push the SOPR lower, investors would have to be willing to sell at a loss. So looking at this chart right here, what is it? What is it showing us? Well, this is the Bitcoin adjusted SOPR. With the SOPR returning to this black line right here, you'll see that that leaves us actually at a neutral level for Bitcoin. What Bitcoin has done right now, and it makes me very excited, is it's reset. And if it drops below this black line right here, people are selling at a loss, which will tell us essentially that the bull market could well be over should we cross back below this black line here on this indicator, because people would be selling at a loss, and you would only sell at a loss if you weren't confident that the price were going to rise back up. So because we've bottomed out on this indicator right here, we can be fairly bullish that we didn't break through this black line. And in fact, every time we've come down and retested this black line, we've actually seen Bitcoin's price rise up quite well since that point onwards. So when I'm looking at this at the moment, I'm looking at this and going, well, it's looking pretty decent, is that? This drop that we've had recently resembles drops that we've had perhaps here when the price of Bitcoin was starting its whole rally up to the all-time highs. Again, we've had more recent drops, and again, every time we've come down, we've almost retested this black line, and then we've had an astronomical rise to the upside. So that is what is kind of the basis for me being quite bullish on Bitcoin at the moment. But that is only one thing of so many different fundamental factors in the market at the moment that I'm going to show you in today's video. The next thing that I wanted to show you in today's video is that MicroStrategy now owns $2.3 billion worth of Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin was only worth $2.3 billion as a whole cryptocurrency just 6 years ago. So in 6 years, an investment fund that owns probably like 0.01% of the supply of Bitcoin is currently worth as much as what Bitcoin was worth only 6 years ago, showing you how much Bitcoin has actually grown recently. Looking at the stock to flow model for Bitcoin at the moment, we're just going through the motions of completing it. We will end up at $100,000. We'll overshoot $100,000, probably go as high as $300,000 during the top of this bull run, or at least that is what I'm expecting. I see no reason that a short-term drop in price would affect your ultimate long-term price, because ultimately that doesn't have any effect on the adoption of Bitcoin. Bitcoin adoption continues regardless of whatever the price is doing. In fact, on the day that Bitcoin's price fell, I did get a lot of messages saying, should I sell? But I also got a lot more messages saying, is now the right time to buy? And I'd not reply to these, of course, because I'm not a financial advisor and I can't tell you to buy Bitcoin. That is not something that I can actually do. But I can say, I bought Bitcoin on that dip, and I'll buy Bitcoin on every single major dip. If Bitcoin is dropping 10% in a day, you can guess who's buying. It's me. I'm not selling. I don't come close to selling on days like that. But of course, people do come close to selling. But another thing that people are really, really keen on at the moment is, of course, altcoins, which are two altcoins in particular, being Aave and Chainlink, of both hitting new all-time highs. Aave is like above $200. That is, again, I've mentioned it before, my worst trade ever. I held enough Aave to be worth probably about $50 million at this moment in time, but I sold them all in the bear market for what, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, something like that. If I'd have just held on to it during the whole bear market to now, I would be worth an absolute fortune. And that shows you, when you lose confidence in an asset and you sell that asset, you never reap the rewards of what you could have had. So those people that are selling Bitcoin right now at $32,000 are going to regret selling it in 1, 2, 3 years time, just as those in 2017 that bought at $20,000 regret dumping it when it dropped down to $13,000 and they never bought back. Time in the market is worth more than money in the market. I invested only £700. I'm doing very well at this moment in time, and I invested that £700 about 4 years ago. It's paid for a Lamborghini and some other nice things, and it's not about the material possessions at all. Ultimately, they come and go. You're not going to keep a Lamborghini for your whole life. At some point, you need to grow up and live a normal life. But time in the market does benefit you in the long term, just as look at what Warren Buffett's done over the past 10 years to now. Time in the market is the most important thing. If you lose confidence in the market and you leave the market, you don't benefit from time in the market, and therefore you don't benefit overall. Moving on from that, analysts warn of institutional exhaustion with Bitcoin price clinging to $32,000. And I think at this point, it really doesn't matter what Bitcoin is doing. Of course, I'm not selling any Bitcoin. I love the application. I've got banned from PayPal for using Coinbase. I've not been banned from anything for using Swissborg. Swissborg is where I buy and sell and use all of my interactions with traditional currencies like the pound, like the dollar. I use all of my interactions with those currency through Swissborg's application, as well as the euro as well. I see huge value in these kinds of applications, and that is only reaffirmed by news articles like that one right there. But now it is time to talk about what is actually going on in the altcoin market as a whole. And it's an interesting one today. Ethereum, during the course of making today's video, has actually probably just dropped about $30 or $40, which doesn't concern me at all. It's a blip. It's literally just a blip. The altcoin market is performing incredibly well at the moment. You'll see over the past 24 hours, most things are in the green. And over the past 7 days at this point, most things are in the green, despite altcoins having a tremendous drop-off earlier in the week as Bitcoin's price plummeted to $28,000. Now, I hedge a lot of my portfolio in the altcoin market. People will comment in the comment section below, oh, you only show the coins that you've got in your portfolio. They're the ones that I know the most about. They're the ones that I've done the most research on, which is why I cover those the most. And also, it's probably the ones that most people that watch my videos actually hold. I couldn't care less if you buy or sell the coins in my videos. Ultimately, this isn't financial advice. It's educational content. And me basically vlogging about what I'm doing, and I make a profit doing what I'm doing. If I didn't make a profit doing what I'm doing, I wouldn't have been doing it for so long. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you about 5 or 6 altcoins that you've never seen on the channel before reviewing some of the ones that I think that most people hold, and then we move on to analyzing the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum today, as well as looking over the traditional financial markets. Starting out today's video anyway, T-Food, never mentioned it on the channel before, $5 million market cap. Why am I bringing this up now? Well, it's lost about 95% of its value since September. What do I look at this and I see? Well, I see that it just had a pump. Not only a little pump, a rather large pump actually. It pumped up from being worth basically 0.007 cents per coin to being worth 0.01 cent per coin. Basically just a 50% rise in price. Why am I bullish on T-Food? T-Food gets shilled by the entirety of Twitter. They're pretty good at recruiting Twitter marketers, and those Twitter marketers generally blast it across the system, and once every couple of years it moons. It absolutely gets sent. I did buy a small bag of T-Food, only a small bag. Don't put your whole life savings into any coin, and I'm certainly not recommending that you buy this one. I'm just talking about what I've done. I bought a small bag, and when I say small, I mean small, because it could moon. It stands quite a good chance of mooning. It is currently lower than it has ever been in terms of its Satoshi value. The project itself is another supply chain management project that tracks food from its manufacturer to the shop to your house. It's a very good idea for tracing the transparency of objects like coffee that may come from dangerous regions. It helps maintain that supply chain purity. Very similar to VeChain in that sense, but specifically about the food market. And of course, you're welcome to do more research on any project that I mention today. But moving on from T-Food, Aave. I have never regretted selling a coin more, as every time I mention this coin. Why did I sell it? And also, I mean, I bought more of it when it was down at $30. It did crash a while ago, I remember that, and I bought more of it at $30, and I'm still holding on to that. I bought at $30. I'm about 9x on it at the moment, and I still couldn't be more disappointed in myself, because I had the opportunity to literally become like an insanely wealthy person, and I didn't take it. This was once literally like a $10 or $30 million, like between 10 and 30 million. I think it even went as low as being like a $5 million market cap during the bear market before it rebranded to Aave. So if you work out that it was once a $5 million market cap, it's now a $2.9 billion market cap. It hurts to look at this one. Genuinely, it hurts, but you should never be upset that you missed out on potential gains. So is Aave a good buy right now? Honestly, I don't know. I've always thought, when is this coin going to have a retrace? It never did, and well, we're here now. It wouldn't surprise me to see this make a run for the top 10. Ultimately, it's a fantastic project. I know why I invested in it initially. I don't know why I sold it. What an idiot. But you live and you learn, and this is a fantastic example of time in the market is worth more than money in the market, because I probably only had about $1,000 invested in this coin during the bear market, and that $1,000 would be worth about like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 million. I'm not bothered to do the maths. It would be quite a depressing situation to be. It would probably be quite a depressing calculation to have, but you should never be upset about missed gains. If you get hung up on missed opportunities, you will never take new opportunities when they come your way. Ultimately, I'm never upset. I make jokes about it because it is quite amusing, but we've all had situations like this, and that was mine. And on the topic of, like, you don't miss the second opportunity that you get, I didn't miss the opportunity with SushiSwap. I think that SushiSwap's growth will continue and continue and continue because it is a fantastic project. I actually bought the dip on SushiSwap when everybody was fudding the hell out of this project and saying that it was going to go absolutely nowhere, and it was done because of some kind of printing flaw in the contract. I bought my bags all the way back round here, and I mentioned it many times in videos. It was about 50 cents at the time, and I went 5x long on Binance at this point. Only a small position, again, like a genuinely small position that's now worth quite a bit of money. But it shows you, just take the opportunity. The same opportunity is probably presenting itself right now at $7. And it's not that you should put your whole life savings into things like this, but don't neglect these things. People neglect them and then say, oh, you're telling us now it's too late. I'm not telling you now it's too late. It's never too late. There's so many opportunities, and this is not done yet. Just as Polkadot is not done yet. Polkadot's price might be higher than it has ever been before, but it's barely higher than it's ever been before in terms of its Satoshi value. In fact, it has actually been higher than what it currently is in terms of its Satoshi value back in September. And if you thought in September then it was valued at $6, that it could be worth $20, $30, $40, or ultimately this could be a $100 coin one day. It could be a $200 coin one day. It's a $16 billion market cap. It's currently the, fourth largest cryptocurrency? Yeah, fourth largest cryptocurrency in existence at this moment in time. But it could challenge the likes of Ethereum going forward. It will need more adoption to do that, but ultimately it's not something that would be unheard of. But also Ethereum's price would rise probably at the same pace of what Polkadot would do in the case of a bull run. Moving on from that though, we've got Elrond, I have mentioned on the channel before. This is gonna go soon. It's gonna go, and it's gonna go really well. I hope, anyway. That's at least what I'm looking at. I've not sold any Elrond. I keep holding my Elrond bags, and I think that it's gonna perform very well over the long-term future. It's a fantastic project. Again, this is all for educational purposes. And moving on from that, a coin that I have mentioned briefly, but only very briefly on the channel before, is eMoney, back down at 72 cents today. Only launched about 4 days ago at this point. Its pre-sale price was about 50 or 25 cents. Its public sale price was 50 cents. It currently sits almost about 40% higher than its public sale price, which generally is a good sign of a lack of interest, but also it's quite good to scoop up bags that people have forgotten about quite early on. That is exactly what I'm doing here. I hope to see some nice price momentum for this in the future. I believe its market cap is sitting really low, currently around like $5 million. So in terms of low cap gems, this is certainly one of them at the moment. I know that they've got some very good backing, and I do expect to see a lot from this project going forward. Next up, we've got a gem that this is one of those ones that it's another opportunity that presented itself in the form of people thinking that this coin was done. When this coin first launched, I said it's overhyped, it's overvalued, it's $12 a coin, and it kind of does absolutely nothing. They have since released new products. It's currently got a $429 million market cap. It dropped completely in value because of another flaw in the printing contract or something. I can't quite remember what it was. Bought my bags at 34 cents, currently $2.22 per coin. Unfortunately, again, could have bought more, didn't buy more. Oh well, I'll just have to deal with it. But I still do think there is a lot of upside to go in this. It wouldn't surprise me to see this at $10 a coin during the course of the entire bull run. And moving on from that, YFDAI. You guys asked me for low cap gems. This is the one. Told you about it the other day. I very much doubt that, few people will have taken advantage. In fact, if you have bought YFDAI recently, comment in the comment section. I am interested to know actually how many people are holding this coin, because I've mentioned it a few times and I think that people are quite skeptical about it. I told you, look, this is penning outwards and it looks like it's going to start breaking to the upside. It has broken to the upside now. There's not just me talking about this coin. Ivan on Tech, he's very bullish on it as well. I've said that I'm going to do a full read through of what this coin exactly does, and I'm going to do that very, very soon. It's just today, it's my first day back at work and I didn't particularly fancy doing a technical review of a coin today. Currently sitting at $3,000 per coin. There is only 3,986 coins currently in circulating supply, which is absolutely tiny, giving it a $12 million market cap. There is only going to be 21,000 coins ever, but they're doing a token burn of essentially around half of the supply that should soon make the coin value rise significantly. I'm very bullish on the future value proposition for this project because of the amount of things that you've got, especially that 80% staking rewards is absolutely huge. But you should always do your research, and definitely this is one for the research because it's a fascinating coin. Moving on from that though, we've got PokerStarter. Now we have got, this is the fourth last coin that I'm going to be mentioning today. PokerStarter, $1.29 at the moment, is doing really, really well. In terms of its Bitcoin value, this will be an absolute, probably, I mean, I'd like to see 100x out of this. I genuinely would. And that's 100x from around that 70-cent price range. $1.29 at the moment, essentially meaning it could be a 50x from here. And I don't think that that's all that realistic. I do believe that PokerStarter is going to be the largest decentralized token offering platform ever because of its ability to stop bots and its ability to garner interest and have successful projects launch out of it. And because of how like hot the market is right now for project coins like this, I'm very bullish on it in the future. Third last coin in today's video being UTrust. Anyway, UTrust is doing really well. It's doing really well, but this I do not think is done. Again, you asking me 10x coins. 10x coins, this is one of them. It just needs some adoption. It needs some marketing. Look at how heavily depreciated the price is. You can't tell me that that doesn't look like it's quite juicy at the moment in terms of buying, especially considering we've recently broken above the all-time high for this year in terms of Bitcoin value. The all-time high this year in terms of Bitcoin value was set on January the 6th, and it's currently just broken it, like literally just now. That makes me very bullish on this coin because when you break a new high, generally you're in price discovery at that point. And well, let's have a look at how price discovery looks for UTrust. Well, looking at that, when you break that level, I mean, there's a lot of upside. In my opinion, the risk reward on it is fairly positive. Of course, I've already mentioned Swissborg in today's video. If you don't have a Swissborg account, by the way, get one. You'll find a link in the description. And if you currently use Coinbase, drop Coinbase. It's far too expensive to use. Use Swissborg. It's cheaper. It's more efficient. And after the first deposit that you ever do, that might take like 24 hours or something. But after that first deposit, it will be instant. Coinbase is not instant. It's slow. It's sluggish. And I really dislike the application. And yet, for some reason, it's valued at $38 billion. This one is $284 million, which is substantially less than what Coinbase is valued at. Now again, the market cap of this coin is not representative of the company value, it's representative of the ecosystem's value, being that of the cryptocurrency that is attached to the company. But still, I feel like this is dramatically undervalued. But of course, none of this, again, is financial advice, and do not take me at my word. Do your own research as well. And finally, in today's video, Exceed Me. It is making an absolute run for it recently. Been talking about this coin for a while. Everyone says, again, why don't you recommend these coins when they're at the bottom? We did with this one. We looked at this and we said, look, this is looking really bullish at the moment. It's Exceed Me. It was down at 25 cents. I don't know why anybody was selling at 25 cents. It literally dropped there just the other day during when Bitcoin's price was having its bit of a temper tantrum. Bitcoin's price was down at $28,000. This was one of the coins that I was buying. I was talking about it and everybody's saying the price is going to $20,000. And what do we keep saying about people losing hope in the price of things? Don't lose hope. Time in the market is worth more than money in the market, and ultimately time will always prevail. Exceed Me currently sits, even at this price, at less than a $15 million market cap, which is absolutely tiny considering the scale of this project. None of these are buy recommendations. This is me explaining why I am bullish on the portfolio that I've recently acquired. I'm not going to bring up coins that I think are going to go down in value, of course. That would be fairly dumb. Why would you invest in those things? But for the most part, I think that the market is very bullish as a whole at the moment. I think that putting money into any altcoin would probably result in a net profit over the course of the next week, especially in terms of Bitcoin values. But now we've covered altcoins, it's time to briefly mention what's going on in the real world. And in the